channel. John here. It's time to start building our dreams, and that's exactly what we've been doing with Project Rampage. Today we are installing some new sliders. Now these are the Mopar sliders. I really like them, but they're not quite heavy duty. They only bolt to the pinch seam and the bottom of the floor pan. They do not bolt to the body mounts, which today we're introducing RockHard 4x4 as one of our new build partners, and we have some new steps from them. Issue with these as they currently are, they're not quite wide enough to get into the storage boxes up top. So the RockHard 4x4 steps that we have, they're true sliders with a top plate, which enables you to use them as a step. So they're about 7 inches wide, and I think they'll work great. We do have a little bit of rubbing in the front with the current sliders. I think the new RockHard 4x4 ones, we'll check them out, but hopefully they sit a little bit tighter and then they taper out, so I think we'll be better off in the front with the RockHard 4x4 steps. Super easy to install. Tools, you just need some basic hand tools and a torque wrench, and you need a 19mm, an 18mm, a 10mm, and a 13mm. Basically, you're going to take everything off, undo the body mounts, and then once you get all the old stuff cleared out, you'll take the new ones, hang them, and install them. Now these new steps, they are heavy duty, so they're heavy, so you may need a buddy to help you. We try to do everything on this channel on our own, and with that being said, let's get started. Alright guys, so up here at the frame you got some 13 mils that you're gonna have to take loose. You got 10 mils to take loose, and then 3 large body bolts to take loose. So as always, we've got a ratchet ready to go. Make sure we're going in the right direction, and we're gonna get started. Alright guys, we're just going to work our way down the line. Take these loose by hand. Leave 1 or 2 on just so they don't fall. Which actually we don't need to. And now you've got the option to reuse all these, so we'll just hold on to our hardware, take a look at the new hardware, and decide whether or not we want to reuse them. Okay, there's that. Drop those down, switch your 10 mil out for 13 mil. Start working our way down. One there. There's 2. Break our rock light free. Okay, I just had those in with some wire ties. One more down at this end. Okay. So now we've got all these bolts out, we're good to go. The little tabs are what we were taking the little 10 mils off, and up here in the middle are the bolt holes where we took the 13 mils loose. And I do have rock lights running underneath here, but as of right now everything's loose. I'm going to jump up, I'm going to pull this off. Alright, I'm just going to get a good grip. Alright. Pull the old one off. The thing we've got to do is use an 18 mil to pull the body bolts. So I just went, grabbed an 18 mil, and we're just going to break these loose. Got a few turns on them. Okay guys, so you'll see a little bit later in the clip that we struggled with a few bolts. There was some popping and cracking. I tried lubricant and penetrating oil. I tried all the old tricks. After the fact, I learned that the JL and JT are notorious for the body bolts breaking. Now, RockHard 4x4 does give you replacements if for any reason one does break. Something I learned after the fact is I would highly encourage you guys to order one of these off Amazon. This is a K7's magnetic induction heater. This one is just their 1300 watt model. Basically, it's got a little push button here. You plug it into a 110 outlet. You select the coil you want. It's got 2 prongs you stick in there, and then just like an induction oven, the power runs up, goes around here, produces heat really fast, and you want to get those bolts red hot. Not melt your body mounts, but you do want to melt all that Loctite that's up in there. For some reason they used a whole bunch of extra. Actually ended up breaking a bolt and spent about 3 days drilling it out. And if you can't get it drilled out and tapped, the worst case, there's other videos out there you'll see where somebody's had to cut a hole in the floor. Now, this isn't RockHard 4x4s, and it's not anything unique. So my Gladiator, 2 years old, we live in the South. We're not up north with all the salt and sand. We don't live in the Rust Belt. And so those body mounts should just easily come out. But the one factory passenger side on the front that I had an issue with, it ended up, snapping off 2 inches up in the hole, and I had to carefully drill it out and tap it. So let's get back to the video. Other than that, this install is super easy and straightforward. It should not have taken me as much time as it did, but we ended up breaking that bolt and having one of these induction heaters to get that bolt red hot and burn off all that Loctite that's up in there and melt it. This I wish I would have known about before. So thanks for watching. Let's get back to it. Coming pretty loose. Go down the line. That one's loose, and then this one back here, I'm going to switch over sides. A little bit dry on this back one. All right. All right. First body bolt out. See, we got a little bit of rust going on in there. So it's probably why the back one is the way it is. The next one. This one's already. Okay, a little bit of finessing on that one. Get it loose. And these friends are the long ones. So don't mix up your short bolts with your long bolts. Alright guys, so ours actually came strapped to a pallet because the Gladiator ones are pretty dang heavy. And if you look here, this is clearly the back half because they do have a little bit of a bend to them. Move those out of the way. Here's our hardware kit. They give you all the bolts and stuff you need. Spacer's already on here, and so we just have to figure out which one is the driver's side, which one is the passenger side. So pretty cool. They have these little spacers here for your pinch weld. See what we got here at this side. All right, that one's a long one, so I think that is probably the passenger side. This is your front, middle, back. So pretty cool. Alright, so for this one, we've got two jack stands set up about 2 inches below the pinch seam. Hopefully that will let us get it close. But here we go, let's give it a try. Just remember, these are steel. Front side's in. Alright, we need to go forward a little bit. So what we're trying to do is we want to tilt it up to get these brackets up behind the pinch weld, and then line up our bolt holes. And you may have to come back, if you haven't had rock sliders before, you may have to drill these out to a 1/2 inch. So alright, there's that one. Alright, looks like I got the back started ever so slightly. Front started. So I'm going to pull this back. We're going to take a 1/2 inch drill bit, just run through each one, open up the hole. There we go. Alright. Hopefully that'll stay like that. Grab a drill bit. Look closely in that hole. You can see the inner layer doesn't match up with the outer layer. Same thing there. Those two aren't too bad. That one's a little bit off, a little bit off. That's where it caught. And there's that one. We're gonna hit them with a drill bit, 1/2 inch, open them up a little bit. So you'll just want to run your drill bit in there. Make sure they're all nice and clean. You see this one here. Alright guys, so when we did our AEV snorkel install, I had some touch-up paint mixed. This still sounds wet, but we're going to check it out. And Sarge Green at the time, you could not find a touch-up pen. And I don't know if the body is all aluminum, mixture between aluminum and steel. But alright, so paint still looks pretty good. What the guys at the shop told me was really Q-tip is a trick to getting a nice clean touch-up result. So we're going to go use this, go around the Jeep, touch up those holes. So we're just going to take and smear this around in the holes there, just to keep anything from reacting. There's that one. Ideally you'd want to cut these straighter than I did, but I think that's okay. I'm just kind of rolling it around, making it nice and green. We're not going for perfection, we're going for coverage. Dab it again. So just dab it around here. Same thing here. So work it around the hole. Again, not going for perfection, and this is fast drying is what they mixed me. So as soon as this stuff hits the air, it's already going to start to harden. Same thing here, around the hole. So in the big scheme of things, you're out maybe 40 bucks and a couple Q-tips, because nobody's ever going to see those holes. You just don't want to have them rusting. So pretty cool little trick. Now just put our lid back on, and another year or two that can will be ready for us. So put that back somewhere safe, keep up with it. Alright guys, now we've given that about 30 minutes to dry. We're going to take and try to put this up here and hopefully not fall off. So try to get a couple holes started. Got that front one started. Having two people is definitely easier, but we try to do everything that we can do on our own on the channel. Alright, looks like we're up high here. Middle here, it's a little bit tight. There it is. Alright, I think we're in. So good angle between the tire. And then back here, pretty good angle. We have that pinch weld, squeeze all the way in. Now we just got to start putting the bolts on the back side. So here's what comes in the kit. So you'll have 3 large plates, big rectangles that go back, 2 small squares for the fronts. You have replacement bolts here if you need them, say you didn't get the rock rails when you ordered it, and then you got some nylon lock nuts. Good thing about nylon lock nuts is they're not going to back out. So that's what we're going to install here on the Jeep. And then of course you got the big bolts for the back, 2 for the middle, and should be good to go. You don't want to be the person on YouTube that drops this on their head. So we're just going to put our 2 small square tabs up front here. Start a couple of our lock nuts, just so nothing falls off. There's 2 lock nuts there. Here, it's going to be a small bolt. Where this bracket goes. And there's a little bit of a gap there, which it's going to cinch up tight once you do that. The easiest part to start with are the pinch seam bolts. So here, for the rest of them, you're going to be using the long plates that came in your kit. You got a metal tab. You're going to use your small bolts with small washers. They're pretty thick. Just work our way down the line. You need to suck it in a little bit, so when you do the pinch weld bolts here, or the pinch seam bolts, it should pull this in. So we just got a couple loosely started. We're going to work our way from front to back. Okay. If we need to, we can hit it. I'm going to bump it a couple of times with the dead blow hammer. See if we can get it over just a little bit more. That one's not touching. There we go. Let's pull these out. Okay. Put that one up just for good measure. As I've decided for our application, we're actually going to try to reuse the body bolts. Now, the middle one has a large washer. The front one on my application has a smaller washer, so the smaller washer is going to go up front. And the thing I like about the factory bolts, they're tapered to grab the nut that's up inside. So I'll take out the bolts that we have here and put the factory one back in. Yeah, so we're just going to use our ratchet here and run these body bolts down. Okay. And we're just going to run them down to where they're about flush. Okay, once we have those down, we can cinch down these other bolts to go up. Okay, so everything now is snug. Last thing we gotta do is our body bolts and make sure they are tight and torque those back to the factory spec. Take them the same amount of snug on each one. Alright guys, so we're glowing like Christmas down here, and what I found online, it said 92 foot-pounds, so we'll try to go 92 foot-pounds. Alright, so that one's good. Getting close. Okay, there's 92 foot-pounds there. We'll go around with the ratchet and just make sure it's tight. Grab a couple of zip ties, run them through the bracket here. The rock lights are just a kind of a necessary evil. If you want to see the ground at night. These are not the brightest ones, but as you can see under here we've got 1, 2, 3 rock lights. Got a couple on the bumper, so plenty bright out here. Problem with the cheap rock lights is these definitely aren't KCs, because this side works. That side there, as you can see, is deciding not to work, but they're up out of the way, so if we do hit something on our slider, we won't rip off our rock lights. Alright guys, so that's going to be it for tonight. We're going to finish this tomorrow in the daylight and get the other side installed. Yesterday I installed the driver's side step from RockHard 4x4. Learned a few lessons doing that side, and today we're going to move to the passenger side. Should be super easy. Get this one off, get the new one installed. So all we have to do here is start taking these bolts loose. There's 13 mils up here and then 10 mils in the back. So we pulled it off. Right there, you just tilt it up and it comes right off. And then one thing we learned yesterday is with these holes, if you look out here, it's a good 1/2 inch, but as you move further in, it's narrow. And these are a little bit better than the ones yesterday. Let's see how that's not perfectly centered all the way down. Each one's a little bit different. So we're going to take our can cut drill bits to open those up. So here we've got our trusty can cut drill bits. We're just going to open it up. So with these two here, you can see this one's further back, that one's further forward. So we're just going to open it up. Same thing. Open it up. This one, you can see the hole's low compared to where the others are. Ooh, those shavings are hot. Down here, same thing. So now we should have some nice clean holes. Pull any chips off and we'll touch them up. We got some Sarge green paint we had mixed up when we did our AV snorkel. So take that loose. We shook it up quite a bit. And then all we're going to use for touching this up, Q-tip. Same thing here. You just want coverage, just so there's no rust or corrosion that gets in there. Nobody's ever going to see those. Again, going for coverage. Let those dry for a little while. Be ready to come back and do our final installation. Go seal back up our paint. So one thing we got to do before we finish this up is we got to break loose these body bolts. These are torqued to 92 foot-pounds. You want to do these by hand so we don't strip anything. Once we loosen that one, we're just going to move down the line, loosen the others. Break them free. I'm not going to pop anymore, but you can hear it popping in there. Towards the end, you're going to put a little bit of downward pressure in that washer with your hand, and it should pop right out. That's definitely loose enough. You can put an impact on it. Moving back here to our center body mount. This one was a little bit tight too. Get your workout. Alright, then we can come back here to our front one. That one in there is definitely not loose. You can hear that one's popping. I don't like these new WD-40 cans. I'll tell you that right now. These things are just a mess if you get a bad one. And the top one, top bushing. And shoot some in there. Nothing like taking a bath in WD-40. It's moving a little. That definitely isn't 90 foot-pounds of torque. That is like 200 foot-pounds of torque. There it goes. Alright guys, so ran into a little bit of an issue, and you know, I didn't realize how common this issue is, but there's one tool I do not have that I kind of wish I had known about. It's called an induction heater. And so there's a couple issues when you remove these body bolts. So this one is being a pain. It's loose, it twists and everything else, but there's a metal cage up in there that kind of tightens around the bolt. So we're going to pull this bolt out, and I'm going to show you kind of how I'm having to do it. Or a pry bar, whatever type of pry bar you might have, and give it a little bit of a pry. And this one, thankfully, came out. Well, feels like we got a little bit of stuck on there. So sometimes that cage will come out with it, sometimes it won't. So I can see the cage up in there. Bolts these connect to, if you shear one off, you might have to drill through the floor. And that is our last resort. Alright guys, so we got the bolt out, and then this is the cage here. And what it does is it just kind of holds that body mount bolt in there. So this body mount bolt we'll be able to reuse. Alright, now for this body mount bolt, there's a spacer that goes in there like this, and then your body mount bolt. This body mount bolt, unfortunately, decided it wanted to leave the chat. And the issue is, and you're not going to be able to see it on camera, up inside of here is the bolt. Now I do have some can cut threads or some can cut drill bits. I'm going to try to carefully drill this out, which it's inside a metal sleeve, so not quite sure how this is all going to work. So unfortunately, our only other option is to go up and cut a hole in the floor if we can't get a bit extractor to work. But I do have some left-handed drill bits. The problem is, I think I ordered one of those induction heat guns. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to get it up in there. So I'm going to try to very carefully and slowly drill this out, but I'm not sure. Worst case, I'm going to have to cut a hole in my floor to get this out. All right, guys, so here's the bottom of the body mount, and inside of that, about 2 inches in, you can see where the bolt snapped off, and that sleeve is wedged in there around it. You can see all the excess red Loctite they used, so we had to drill all that out. You can also see how much red Loctite is on this bolt, and I had to drill another 2 or 3 inches in, and I got lucky. I drilled it pretty dang close, just opening it up a little bit at a time, and then I finally cleaned it out with a 8-inch fluted tap for a M12 by 1.75, and then I was able to use one of the bolts that was provided by RockHard 4x4. Hey guys, so these RockHard 4x4 steps turned out awesome. Guys, so we just finished the install of the RockHard 4x4 steps, and we're headed to Florida where you'll actually get to see some of this fun and excitement we're doing. So make sure you like, subscribe, and once again, I get to share my dream with you, but the true purpose of this channel is to help inform, motivate, and inspire you guys to get out there and start building your dreams.